Hey, I'm your host, Jen Wheeler, and this is the Healthy Her podcast. I'm a teacher, author, and foodie who went from being addicted to sugar, skipping meals, and struggling to get in control of my eating, to someone who is 10 kilos down, eats all the yummy foods without restriction, and is finally in control of my hunger. I'm obsessed with helping other health-conscious women ditch the confusion and overwhelm so they can cultivate healthy eating habits and truly thrive. The Healthy Her podcast was created to give you real talk about healthy eating, as well as easy, actionable tips that fit seamlessly into your busy lifestyle. I'm not just your host. Think of me as your healthy eating hype gal, your personal cheerleader as we chat all things healthy eating, weight loss, and mindset mastery, so you can become the healthiest, happiest version of you. So if you're ready to ditch the guilt, reclaim your confidence, and unlock the very best version of you, then you're in the right place. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Healthy Her podcast. I am feeling good. I have gotten up early. I have gone and done my workout. I've had my real nourish, high protein breakfast, and I'm just feeling good and ready to record some amazing podcasts for you, full of loads of helpful content and ideas for you as a busy woman so that you can make wellness and healthy eating and losing weight and showing up for yourself just easy. And I think this is one of the things that's not really talked about a lot, is that when you look after yourself, you feel better. Like, I feel great. It's such a good feeling to be able to wake up and have energy and feel alive and feel like today's going to be a good day and I'm in control, rather than waking up feeling awful, feeling tired, feeling like the world's against me, everything's bad. Like, there's so many benefits when you look after yourself and show up for yourself that I just don't sort of feel like I've spoken about enough. So definitely one of the amazing side effects of when you look after your health and your wellness is, just how good you get to feel in the mornings and when you wake up. And I just genuinely want that for you too, because I think it's one of those things that when you're stuck in that place, it's like this cycle that you just can't get out of. Like, you just wake up, you feel tired, you feel like rubbish, you eat rubbish, then you don't sleep well and you go to bed, and then you kind of just pretty much get up every day and repeat that same process. And I promise you, there is a different way for you to feel. And once you get to that point, it's just the best thing ever. And you just get to start your day and just approach your day in your everyday life with a fresh and a totally new mindset, rather than that old, tired, worn out version of yourself that just feels like everything is hard and everything is a struggle. Okay, today's topic is all about how we're going to transform your healthy eating journey. I know as women, one of the biggest mistakes that we make is that we beat ourselves up when we struggle to lose weight or we struggle to eat healthy consistently. So if we eat well for a few days and then we can't do it, we automatically straight away jump to this self-sabotaging spiral where we're not disciplined, we lack motivation, we're a failure, we're weak, we can't do these things. And that's what the topic of today's podcast is all about. I really want you to flip the way that you think about that. So instead of thinking, hey, I'm not disciplined and I'm not motivated and I can't do this, I'm going to shift the way you think that maybe it's actually an identity problem. Okay? At your core, it's not that you're not disciplined. It's not that you're not motivated. It is an identity problem. So in today's podcast, we're going to unpack all of that. And my plan is by the end of the potty that you just feel a lot better about yourself and a lot more clearer. And that when you find yourself in those positions where you start heading down that spiral of self-doubt, I'm not motivated, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, I'm never going to make this happen. We've all been there. You can feel into that and then shift to start creating that new identity for yourself. Okay, so I want you to picture this. You want to eat better, you want to work out consistently. You have all the right intentions. Like, you want to do those things. You want to be the girl or the woman that shows up for herself. Okay. You want to be the person that makes workouts happen every week, whether that's the gym, whether it's Pilates, whether it's a walk, whether it's riding a bike, your favorite YouTube workout, whatever it is. You have really good intentions and you really, really want to do these things and be that person, but you keep blocking yourself. You keep hitting these roadblocks over and over again. And then you think, I'm not disciplined. I mustn't be motivated enough. I'm not inspired. I need to find more inspiration. But what if I told you it's actually an identity problem? That's what it comes down to at its very, very core. It is not that you are lacking discipline. It is an identity problem. So I'm going to talk about my personal experience with identity. And this is sort of something I've only really become aware of, I'd say probably maybe like 3 years or so. Now, over the last couple of years, I've had to make some really big life changes. And I don't know if you know, or if you're new here, or if you're new to like me and the podcast and all of those kind of things, but I'm actually a school teacher. I am a teacher. I hold a Bachelor of Education. I have been a teacher for many, many years, and I also hold a high level qualification in teaching. So I have been recognized for my excellence in teaching as well. Now, that's what I did for many, many years. I would teach at schools, I would teach in classrooms, I would run PDs and courses and all of these kind of things for teachers as well too. Like that was part of my job as well. And in order to take that identity of me from being in the classroom and teaching kids to then using my expertise to teach women was an identity shift. It was a change in my identity. And there have been that instance and also the instance of when I first had a baby and I wanted to lose some weight and I wanted to eat healthy. I had to change my identity then. I had to change my identity from like being a married woman with a husband to now a mother and like having a child and a family. That was a change in my identity. I then also had to change my identity when I wanted to, like I said, lose weight and change my lifestyle. And then I had to go from this person who did nothing, set multiple alarms, slept through them all, had sugary breakfasts with cereal and orange juice and things like that for breakfast, always felt tired, never exercised, all of those kind of things, to shifting into this new identity that, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, person that gets up 5 o'clock and goes to the gym. And then she comes home and she's got a meal prep breakfast for her waiting in the fridge. And she knows what we're having for dinner and it's already been organized. And throughout all of those processes, I have had to shift into a new identity, into a new way of seeing myself. And so when I'm talking about identity, that is what I'm talking about. So with you thinking it's not discipline, it all comes down to that one thing. It all comes down to you slowly shedding your old identity and creating a new one for yourself. And unfortunately, it does take time and it is a bit messy. I'm going to give you lots of tips of how you can move from that old identity into this newer version of yourself. So in order to be successful with your goals, it could be working out 3 times a week. It might be eating a high protein breakfast. It might be you want to lose weight and you actually want to keep it off. You don't want to get stuck in that sort of cycle of yo-yo dieting and things like that. In order to do those things, you have to create a new identity. You have to see a new version of yourself. And that's the reality, because unfortunately we have an old identity of ourselves. And it's like, imagine it kind of like a picture, regardless of where you are on your journey. And like I said, this can apply to everything, whether you want to change jobs, move and work in a different city, lose weight, join a gym, eat healthy. It all comes down to your identity. And you have this old identity. It is this picture of yourself that you have in your mind. And the problem is that this identity of you has been created over a long period of time. Okay, we don't form our identities in 5 minutes. Okay, that's why often it is very hard to create a new identity for ourselves, a new one where, like you're healthy and you're vibrant and you feel amazing and you look good in your clothes. It's often hard to create a new identity because old identity has come from years and years and years of different life experiences and wins and failures and all of those kind of things create that identity, which is often why we struggle to move into a new one, especially when it comes to losing weight and eating healthy and changing our lifestyle habits for the long term. So what I mean by that is that you have done things every single day, tiny, tiny little habits every single day that you have done to reinforce your identity that you have. So whether that's I'm lazy, like let's say you were supposed to get up and do your workout and you didn't. So then it's, okay, well, I'm lazy. I didn't do it, so I'm lazy. Okay, that's reinforcing that old identity that you have. And it's sending that message to your brain that you're lazy. You don't get up for your workouts. Or it might have been again, you got home from work and you're like, right, I'm going to go out and I'm going to walk the dog after work. And you don't. So then it's, okay, well, I'm just lazy. I lack discipline. And so over a long period of time, you have repeatedly sent these messages to your brain to create this identity for yourself. This identity that doesn't do the things that she says she's going to do, that she's lazy, that she sleeps through her alarm, that she can't stick with things, like you start a diet program or a plan or whatever and you do it for a while and then you're all right for a few days or a week or even like 2 weeks. And then you don't get the results that you want straight away so that you quit. This has created an old identity for you. And this is your identity perception. This is how you see yourself. Unfortunately, this keeps us stuck because you're relying on these old patterns and these old beliefs about yourself. And like I said, I have had to do quite a few different identity changes in the last few years in different areas of my life. And I can honestly tell you, the changes that I have made have been successful because I have slowly moved and created this new identity for myself. So I promise you, it is not a discipline problem. You're not motivated. You're not incapable. It's not that you can't do any of this stuff. It's just that you need to start creating a new identity for yourself and start shifting into that person. Are you tired of the endless struggle to eat healthy and nail your meal prep routine? Introducing the Real Nourish Do-It-Yourself Meal Prep Mixes, the ultimate solution for busy women like you. When I went on my own personal health journey, I discovered the many benefits of meal prep. And after much searching, I just couldn't find a meal prep mix that was designed especially for women. So I literally decided to create my own. Trust me, as a busy working mum, meal prep has changed my life. Our mixes are packed with protein to keep you energized and feeling full. Our mixes can be whipped up in under 10 minutes, perfect for your on-the-go lifestyle. Using our award-winning pancake tray bake mix means you can say goodbye to standing over a hot stove, flipping pancakes. Simply add water, toss in your favorite fruits, and bake. If you're ready to revolutionize your meal prep game, you can find my mixes at theactivebod.com or follow us on Instagram at realnourish_. And as a special thank you to our Healthy Her community, we have a discount code. So just enter the code, the Healthy Her, at the checkout. Okay, so time to get into the juicy stuff. So we've talked about what an identity is, how your old one is blocking you, and now we need to get you and help you and support you to move into a new identity, into a new version of yourself. So how do you do that? Like, I have to be completely honest with you, it's a little messy. It really is. And I feel like I've spoken about this before, but I feel like it's something that's not spoken about enough. When you make any big change and you're creating a different version of yourself, it's messy. It's messy. It's a bit uncomfortable. It's a bit confronting. You kind of have to deal with parts of yourself that once you realize that it's actually what was holding you back the whole time, like it can actually be quite an uncomfortable process. But from personal experience, it is totally worth it because the version of you that is on the other side is literally unstoppable and can do anything that she sets her mind to. Okay, tip number 1 about how you're going to create a new identity. You have to believe that you are worth it. Like at its very, very core, you must believe you are worth your goals. Okay, it all starts with you. So if you don't think that you're worth it, if you don't think that you're worth looking amazing, rocking your outfit, looking hot as hell, when you go and get dressed in the morning to go out for the day, or if you're heading out with some girlfriends at nighttime, you need to feel that you are worth it and that you deserve to be this healthy, vibrant, happy person. Like you have to believe it. If you don't believe it at your core, it is going to be very, very difficult to create that new identity for yourself. So you must believe it and start thinking about this person, okay? And this is a big step that I did throughout my identity shifts is that think about her. So this version of yourself that you want to be, the version of yourself that you want to show up as, think about her. What does she do? Like, how does she dress? Like, I want you to kind of almost visualize her in your mind. Like, does this version of you like snooze through all her alarms? Does she like quit on herself every time something gets hard? Does she say she'll do some meal prep on the weekend and never does it? Does she say that she will go for 3 walks this week and another week has rolled by, it's a Sunday afternoon and she hasn't done it again? Like, what is this person looking like, or how is she dressing? Like, does she dress confidently, or is she constantly just wearing like old clothes and a baggy t-shirt? Or does she show up differently? Does she dress differently? Does she feel differently? So really start thinking about what this version of you looks like and truly start to believe that you are actually worth it. Because I know as women, it's one of our biggest flaws is putting ourselves at the bottom of our to-do list. Everyone else always comes first before us. And that's where that belief has to come in, that you are worth it and that you deserve this, regardless of your situation, regardless of your past, regardless of your failures. You deserve and you are worthy to look and feel good and to show up as the best version of yourself. Because the reality is, and I've experienced this firsthand, when you do that, you show up as a different person for those around you. Like, if you don't take care of yourself, it is very hard to show up for the people that you love and care about, your friends, your family, your children. It's important that you take care of yourself. They always talk about like when you're on an airplane and you've got kids with you and the masks drop down, you put the masks on yourself first and then you put them on your children. It's the same. There is a reason that they say that you must take care of yourself first, so then you can be the best version of yourself for others. Okay, tip number 2. Now, what you want to try and do is experience some wins and some successes. So wins can be small. In your mind, I don't want it to be, okay, right, well, I want it to be that I want to lose 5 kilos. No. A win or a success can be, I didn't snooze my alarm today and I got up and went for a walk. Your win for the day could be, I drank 1.5 liters of water. Your win for the day might be that I turned off Netflix, I stopped scrolling on my phone, and I went to bed early so I could get a really good night's sleep. Okay? Your win might be that, you know what? End of the day, I was so tired. I just was so tempted and I was driving past all of the takeaways and all of the drive-throughs and things, and I kept driving past and I came home and I threw together a quick, healthy 10-minute meal. That is a win and that is a success. Experiencing wins and successes is so very important because what it does is it's reinforcing those new behaviors and that new identity that you want to create. So the more that you can stack those little wins, the more you are going to start to sort of morph into this new identity and this new version of yourself. So where you can, find and seek out opportunities in your day to experience wins and successes, because the more of those that you can have, the more you are creating those new neural and those new brain pathways for your new identity. It's reinforcing that, hey, you know what? I can do these things and I do the things that I say that I'm going to do. Okay, tip number 3, repeat your processes and daily habits. So if you go, okay, well, I'm going to work out, and you do it once a week and then you do nothing for 3 weeks, you're going to find it very hard to step into that new identity and that new version of yourself. Okay? Repeating your processes, repeating your daily habits, whether that's putting out your gym clothes, whether that's filling up your water bottle, whether that's planning out your family dinners. The more that you can repeat those processes and daily habits, the more and easier you will find it to shift into that new identity and that new version of yourself. Okay, so repeat, repeat, repeat. I always say consistency creates momentum. Okay, so what that means is that the more consistent you are, the more that you do the thing, the more momentum you will get. So the more flow and the more ease comes from when you do things consistently and regularly. So when you look at someone on social media and you see them and they're like, oh, well, she goes to the gym regularly, or she meal preps, or I always see her at that Pilates class, or she's always drinking her water, and all of those kind of things. It's because she has repeatedly done those things over and over again, and that's what's created momentum. Momentum creates flow and it creates ease, and that's where the ease comes. The more you do the thing, that's where the ease comes, and that's where you go, oh, throwing up my workouts now feels easy, or meal prepping now feels easy, or going to bed earlier now feels easy. So consistency creates momentum, which creates flow, which gives you that ease that you want, where it just feels easy. Like you showing up for yourself just feels easy. And that's what we all want as women and what we should all strive for. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can get to feel easy and it can get to flow. Okay, tip number 4, be prepared. Be prepared for all the self-doubt and imposter syndrome to show up. Okay? When you take your old identity and you are working to create this new identity for yourself, just be prepared for all this self-doubt and all this imposter syndrome to show up. I did talk about this briefly before, but it's uncomfortable. Growth and change is uncomfortable. It is messy. Like I said, often it comes down to the fact that you have to deal with the parts of yourself that were holding you back the whole time. And that's the truth. And that applies to not just healthy eating and weight loss, but everything in your life. I've really found it just carries across so many different situations. It's also emotional. I have cried. Like, I have had tears. There have been lots of tears where I'm like, I just feel so uncomfortable. And something that was a quote that I read once, and it's something that's like really stick with me. I'm going to try and remember it. But it was basically like, if you've got this old version of yourself and you're working towards this new version of yourself and you're not quite there yet, it talked about the fact that you're in the hallway. So you're in the hallway. So you're not your old version of yourself. Okay. So you've made a few changes, you're working on yourself, you're doing a few things, but you just don't quite feel like you're at the new version of yourself, that new identity of yourself. And basically it was saying, keep going because you're just in the hallway. You're in the hallway in the middle between your old identity and your new identity that is going to show up at the end. And I don't know about you, but that just really resonated with me. And I found it really helped me every time I was feeling a bit stuck, because unfortunately you can't just jump from, hey, this is this old version of me that sits on the couch, like binges on Netflix, eats too much, does no exercise, doesn't look after herself, doesn't get enough sleep. You can't move from that identity to this new one who does all of these wellness habits and daily habits and exercise and fitness and healthy eating and feeding her family well and all of those kind of things. You can't just jump from one to the other. There's that process and, like I said, rewiring your brain in the middle that has to happen. So if you are in that messy middle, if you're in that hallway and you just feel a bit stuck, you're like, you can see this version of yourself and she's there, you can see her and you can feel her and you know that you're worth it, but you're just not quite there yet. That's okay. Just keep going because you're just in the hallway between the old identity and the new identity. So just keep going. Kind of think it too like a snake. How snakes like shed their skin and then create a new skin and all those kind of things. It's kind of what we do when we create a new identity for yourself. So it is emotional. It is messy. You will have lots of imposter syndrome and self-doubt. So if you're trying to, let's say, for example, you're trying to take that old identity of, the girl that does nothing, doesn't take care of herself, and you're wanting to move into this new identity, this new version of yourself, like, it's kind of messy. It's messy in the middle, because you might be doing some of the things, but you're not doing all the things perfectly, or you might have some wins and then you have some failures, and it's all part of the process. But it's the key to success is the key to sticking with it. And like I said, continuing to have those wins and those successes and repeating those processes. So you are continually reinforcing that new identity, that new version of yourself that you want to be. You need repetition and you need to keep reinforcing those behaviors so that they just eventually become second nature and you just do them without thinking. I hope that you found today's episode really give you some things to think about, especially when you start finding yourself in that self-sabotage spiral about not having discipline and not having motivation. And the reason I want to share this is because as women, we are so quick to blame ourselves. That's literally where we jump to within 5 seconds. It's like, well, it's me. There's something wrong with me. I'm broken. I can't do this. And I must have no motivation. And the truth is that you're actually a very intelligent, highly capable woman that can literally do anything that she sets her mind to. It's just that you have to deal with these identity issues and create a new identity for yourself. And it does. It takes time, takes a bit of patience. You might get stuck in the hallway in the middle. I've definitely been in my fair few hallways where I just felt stuck in the middle, just felt like I wasn't the old version of myself, but I wasn't quite showing up as the new version of myself yet. And I was still trying and I just kind of felt like I was stuck in that hallway, but I kept going. And if you keep going long enough, you will find that you create that new identity and that new version of yourself. And I promise you, Like when you start making those identity shifts, you just show up differently. You show up differently. You want more for yourself. You want things differently. You don't put up with crap from other people like your whole life will change. So definitely stick with it. And I just hope that this podcast acts as a little reminder for you that, when you do find yourself in that, like, I'm not motivated, I've got no discipline, think, hang on a second, like, what did we talk about on the Healthy Her podcast? Maybe it's just my identity, and maybe I need to start taking those little steps in order to create a new identity and a new version of myself. As always, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Don't forget to leave a review below and to subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. I'm off to have a fantastic day, but I'll see you all in our next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the Healthy Her podcast. If you enjoyed today's chat and found it helpful, hitting that follow or subscribe button would be amazing because your support means the world to me. Come connect with me on Instagram @TheActiveBod for your daily dose of inspiration and for loads of new easy meal ideas. Take care and keep thriving. See you next week.